Tasha, thank you for joining us today. We are so excited to have you with us. Tasha is the VP of Partner and Customer Success at Isofy. We were just giving Tasha props for having excellent video and sound quality today.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes, to all of our future guests, this is our role model right here. And she's even gets the hat on.
Yeah, I am fully prepared.
Oh, and the nails, those look fun too.
Isofy blue.
Very nice. Very nice. Okay, so
yes, I follow her on Instagram. It's so interesting because like they go to all these like super bougie, fancy weddings, and I'm just like,
you do.
Right.
Yeah,
So
I miss those days.
Rocking the high heels. Mark rocks the suit. I mean, it's like they go all out.
Yeah,
it's a cultural thing. My friends do that too, and I'm just like, I wear black, and I can't remember the last time I wore a tie. And
wait, Gio, since you brought that up, and like this is for like everyone that's watching, all like, you know, the women out there, I am a baller on a budget. Like you saw my blue dress. I had this like gorgeous royal blue dress. It was $40.
Wow.
Yeah. Good. $40. So yeah, I'll that's for another podcast, and I'll share all my OOTD.
Ooh, I like it. Maybe you should have an Instagram account for, you know, looking fabulous on a budget.
Oh, I'm all about it. Absolutely. So thank you.
Okay, so let's talk about Tasha. Tasha, we met you just last September at the GWA conference. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, and then
have you officially like announced her?
Yeah, I announced her
title and stuff. Oh, you
did.
Right.
You missed it. I don't know what you were doing.
If I'm being honest, I had a cocktails over lunch with Melissa Shiloh in Fort Lauderdale. So
we're uncensored.
I'm 2 martinis in.
2?
Totally fine.
We're gonna drink even 1.
So, and it's funny, we sat down and she goes, I'm paying because you don't drink. I'm like, probably because that's probably the image I want people to have, but I'll drink. I just said I'm careful about how much I drink and when I drink, right?
Day drinking is the best because then it doesn't interfere with your sleep.
Yeah,
so it's perfect. So we've been recording 2 podcasts, then we've got a training with Co-Star, and then I'm getting on a plane. So
by then you'll feel just nappy enough to.
Jamie, you'll have like the chillest Gio. Like he's just gonna be so chill, so laissez-faire.
Well, let's see. We'll see how this goes. Okay, Tasha, where are you calling us from?
Oh, so being super honest, I'm in my pseudo office / daughter's room. And I love the fact that my daughter has like this really cool.
It's so fabulous. That's why I was like, I love it, like art. I would call it art. Your daughter's kind of same age as mine, right? How old is she?
Yeah, she's 10 going on 30.
Yes, I have one of those too. Gio knows this. Yes.
Yeah.
What is that awesome like blue? I don't even know what that color is.
So are you talking about this thing or
no,
like,
not the art, but the furniture? What's the furniture?
Are you ready? That's her bed. It is a couch. It's a sofa bed. It's a couch.
That's a great idea.
All of the stuff. Yeah. And she'll like have her friends come over and just have like some throw pillows, and she has a beautiful closet. And Mark, my boyfriend, he's a superintendent here at the building that we live, and we have this beautiful like 2-bedroom place. Sarah got the luxury of having a ginormous closet, so she keeps all her stuff in there. It's huge and beautiful. So yeah, I am in her room, which is also my office.
I love this taste that she has, though. It's so fun.
This is all her. Like the colors, the bed, this yarn artwork that I have to fix every once in a while. Yeah. Sarah. And then Gio will see on my Instagram, like she's a diva. She is also like my mini broke friend. Yeah, and I am based right now out of Montclair, New Jersey. I'm originally from New York, Westchester, New York, and moved out here during the pandemic. And really quick, funny story. So I met Mark on Hinge, and then we started dating. Pandemic happened. I was working remote, and I worked for this global brand co-working space, and he had phenomenal internet. He had a gig of internet speed.
You were like dating you for your For your
Yes,
fiber.
for your Wi-Fi. And like my Wi-Fi at my place was so terrible. Like the upload and download speeds were terrible. So like he has this an artist called Cause. He has a Cause painting and it was always behind me. And my team would be like, so this has become a regular thing. Like, is this a thing now? And then here we are. 2 years later, moved in. He has a whole family now, 2 French bulldogs.
Ooh.
Yeah.
And the internet's still good.
Yeah. And
Which is what matters most.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Totally. So I've manifested this life that I'm living now.
Okay. I love it.
Yeah. And I believe in that. Like I truly believe in like manifesting what you want for yourself, what your hopes and dreams. And it's not fake it till you make it. It is doing it, living it, speaking it.
Manifest this podcast. Because you were freaking about it, so you couldn't have manifested it.
Probably.
I still remember our first conversation where I was like, you know what, let's save it for the podcast. And you're like, what?
Yeah.
We're gonna have to wait a few months for that. So
since we're uncensored, I think I was thinking, how did I get to know Tasha? I mean, I think it was more it was at the party was it 80s? There was like kind of a weird guy following me around, and you were like,
God.
I was trying to remember. I was like, I can't remember the context, but we were like, okay, don't look. Like,
yeah, no, and I loved it because like you were dancing. Wait, hold on, Gio. So Jamie was like dancing. She was like, Tasha. Okay, don't make it obvious.
That's totally Jamie. That's hilarious.
I can't remember if it was being weird with me or with you, but it was
just going on. I think just in general. And I'm not gonna say I'm a bold person because it wasn't bold, but I am just like kumbaya. Walked up, introduced myself, like, hey, what's up? I'm Tasha. So
okay, let's talk about Tasha. So let's first give some context. We'll give some professional context first. And I'm overdue for a demo. So I want to hear a little bit about what does Isofy do? Who's your best customer? What are your solutions? Gio won't let me spend a lot of time on that, but I think it would be useful for our listeners because it will be. Yeah.
Totally. So let's start back, like, who's Tasha in this co-working industry and who's Tasha in general?
Okay. I like, she's ready. She's ready.
I am. So I have just sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride. I have my own personal like core values that I live my life by forever. And it's to be a good human. Like I will judge you if you don't put your shopping cart back.
Okay, pet peeve.
Fair enough.
Like you just do the right thing. I am, I go to bed at night knowing that like I tried my best in general at life, at parenting, at being in a relationship, working, everything. And I just try to be a good person, be honest. And I think that kind of led me through my career. I started off as the executive assistant to a CIO at a hospital in Westchester. And I have to make mention of this because she like sparked that thing in me to say, you are so much more than this. You have such great potential. I could see the stuff you could do. You're so organized. And I will never forget, this is the moment that changed my life and my career. And mind you, she was the CIO and it was a huge hospital. And it was regarding data migration and moving paper charts to the cloud. She couldn't make the meeting because she was double booked. And she was like, Tasha, go. I was like, are you kidding me? She was like, no, you know the questions to ask. You have that thinking like me mentality, preparing ahead. You have all the questions. Go in there and go do it. I was scared as heck. And there were other VPs there from the hospital. And it was so crazy because I went in there scared and came out so confident. And I killed it. because the vendor thought I was like, I mentioned I'm the executive assistant, and the vendor came out like just locking eyes with me. I had action items. I was like in full project management mode, and he didn't even speak to the other VPs. And that was the moment that I knew there was more depth. Like, I can do so much more. So I started off as, going over to project coordinator and then kind of leaving the hospital. And I started working as a project manager, an associate project manager at a co-working company. And my mentor / boss at the time, and I actually let me rephrase that. I don't like using the word boss, my leader at the time, because I don't think I've ever had a boss.
So what co-working space? It's not a secret.
Serendipity Labs.
Okay.
Yeah. It is at Serendipity Labs. And it was great because he was like truly a leader. And I was still timid about, stepping into the waters and, owning these things. And I would have to be on construction calls. And he just showed me the ropes, and he just was all about women empowerment. And he would always reiterate the same things to me. I'm here to support and empower you. And that was so phenomenal. So if I had a GC tell me like, hey, sweetheart, like, can we wait for, your boss to get on the phone? I would be like, all right, timid me.
Oh, is this guy from the South, sweetheart? No, come on.
Yes.
People still say that
Yes.
in business settings. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Yes. No, it was darling.
But that's still common in construction. People being like, I need to talk. I'll just wait for your husband.
Oh, yeah, basically. So my leader at the time would get on the call and just be like, so you are 2 weeks behind because you didn't listen to what Tasha said. So what Tasha says, that's what goes. And again, it's that same thing from my first, leader, my first mentor. And it kept building this thing in me, this greatness, my full potential. And as the time went by, I'm here marking up floor plans. I can look at a floor plan, and I'm saying this not in a cocky way, but in such confidence. I can look at a floor plan and tell you how many data drops are needed, access control, low voltage, like CCTV, AV. I can mark up an entire floor plan because it wasn't part of my job. I didn't have to do it, but it was like, I saw it, and my boss would take the time and say, hey, this is, I'm going to explain it to you. This is what you have to do. This is what you have to look out for. These are the ISPs. These are pricing. And I felt like that was so important for me and my growth. So lots of experience under my belt. There were moments that our EC had to like go out for lunch or something like that. And I would kind of momentarily go man the phones, get ready for a meeting room type of thing. So it gave me, I didn't realize at the time, it gave me all those firsthand experiences for like, fast forward to today and the clients we serve. I can genuinely say I've been in those shoes. I know what you're talking about.
So who was your manager?
Zach McNamara.
And
I didn't.
Zach
Okay, I didn't know this about your background. This is so interesting.
Yeah, we're texting each other. She's sending me messages. I'm like, just let her play it out. Let it play out. So who's Zach now?
So Zach previously was the IT director and VP of platform services at Serendipity Labs. And he started his own company. He founded a company called Portside Technology. Portside Technology is basically, the other half of the co-working space IT structure, access control, CCTV, designing, drawing, and managed services. So I actually took a little bit of a hiatus after the pandemic. And I said, I actually have this opportunity to not work. And I was working since I was 16. Mark said, I got you. And I took about 4 months off. And I got to experience what it was like to be a housewife. And I didn't have to cook every day. And it was great. And it was wonderful. And I was like, all right, I'm ready to get my feet wet again. What's my next step? And Zach said, I got something for you. And I started with him at his company, Portside Technology, as his director of operations. And I was like, wow, thank you. I appreciate that you see, like, you know, the value I can bring to the company. And we started from the ground up and, you know, rolling out access control to sites and, you know, ongoing support for people. And it was basically taking like that IT structure in a co-working space on the road independently. And then last year, we had the opportunity to acquire Isofy from the previous owner, Brad. And, you know, they had several clients already under their belt, VentureX and a couple of places in Australia and Puerto Rico. And Zach was like, this will be the perfect fit for us. This is like the full package. And he goes, what do you think, you know, after acquiring Isofy, what do you think about going to work with Isofy? It's all under the same umbrella, so to speak. You know, if you're talking to Portside, you're also talking to some team members with Isofy. And I said, I love it, but I need to understand the full scope of Isofy because I can't evangelize something. I can't speak to something if I don't believe in it and if I don't see the worth. And here I am now. I've worn many different hats. I've done, you know, director of operations. I've done sales, having not come from a background of sales, but I think that was so beautiful because I wasn't trying to sell something to anyone. I was trying to solve a problem. You know, I would listen to.
That's what sales is.
Yeah.
It's perfect.
Right. Now learning about it, I'm just like, wait, actually, I think I might have been doing this right all the time. And I remember one of my clients said to me, I was explaining to him the whole infrastructure and my whole thing about it during the time when I was deep in sales was, I'm going to explain whether you go with Isofy or not. I'm going to give you the full knowledge you need to know, 10,000 foot view, so that you're confident and empowered to speak about it, to make your decision, regardless who you go with. I am going to give you that plethora of knowledge to make the right decision. And one of my clients said to me, he goes, where did you learn your sales skills? And you want to come work for me? Because he just liked that style. It was just genuine. So, you know, that's how we got into the whole sales portion of it. And I think that what made it so successful for me personally was when I get on the phone with someone, again, this is why I talked about initially being like a good person and, you know, having core values. I'm not going to get on the phone with you and be like, hey, you know, Gio, you know, tell me what you want. What is it that you're looking for? What are the solutions? I'm going to stop and say, hey, Gio, tell me about yourself. You know, and some people may, I'll, you know, test the waters, may want to get into that discussion. Some people won't. I know my clients. I know who has kids. I know their life struggles that they're going through. I'm very much invested in that. And it's genuine and it is pure. Father's Day, I'll text my clients and, you know, wish them happy Father's Day, Mother's Day, I'll do the same thing or just reach out because that is what is the core of what's important to me.
Simple hospitality, right? It's what we do. Right? It's where you create stickiness. It's where you create relationships.
Exactly.
Jamie, I'll let you finish the professional stuff before I get into the good stuff.
I know Gio wants to dive into the good stuff. Okay, give us the quick overview for people listening who don't know. What does Isofy, what is the solution? What problem do you solve?
Okay, sweet. Isofy is a network management solution. It is a software. And basically what it does, when you walk into your co-working space and you connect to the internet, Wi-Fi, Isofy is the one that manages that. We have a few integrations right now and working on several more. You are segmented into your own private VLAN. And what does that mean? So when a co-working space comes in and there are several of them, everyone is in their own segmented VLAN. No one can see, or tap into another person's VLAN. So it's safe, it's secure. And I think that one of the things about Isofy, there are many things, but one of the things about Isofy that I love is that it grows with you in terms of pricing. There's not a flat or a fixed rate. It is flexible. Like it's a $250 base price and then $5 per active user. So let's think about like times that people are really not coming in that much. It fluctuates. So your bill's not going to be the same every single time. And I think that is so great, to the clients and to the franchisees and operators. And another portion of it is that the dashboard it is so easy. It is truly, truly so easy. It's easy to maneuver. It's easy to just get information, to look at information, to add new members. And then the last portion I will say is that, the security aspect of it. Isofy was actually built by a cybersecurity team. So they had that, we talk about this a lot this day and age, security and breaches.
Especially for remote corporate employees, that can be really critical sometimes. I remember talking to a guy who he was like, you can like sit in the parking lot of a WeWork and like tap into, people's computers because their networks were totally not secure. I'm sure that's changed by now, hopefully. But also, a lot of independent operators don't know how to get there. So having a solution that says like, look, you're with us, we got you, here's how you do it is
exactly.
So do you also provide the port side solutions like the data drops and the CC, all the other?
So in terms of data drops, we don't do low voltage installs. But we can do is, because it's so tedious, especially for people that have never opened a co-working space before, ever. What do I do? Where do I begin? Low voltage, I don't know anything about this. We offer a service that we can kind of, do a design work for you and basically PM your low voltage team because we have the experience. And then also do the design work of the access control and CCTV and even AV, but we don't do AV installs.
Perfect. But they know what to ask for. They have the plan.
Exactly. So we give them that roadmap. And you can even pay for that service to say, hey, can you help design this for me of what the co-working space should look like? And then that's yours to keep. You don't have to go with us. And I like that approach because it gives the client flexibility and trust that we've done this before many a times. So we can identify someone that's going through some struggles and just help them out.
Oh, is you're giving me a chance? Look at her. She gave me the side eye. Did you see that?
I saw that bombastic side eye.
So it was funny because after the first day of GWA, this little sweet little things comes running up, little feet moving this fast, trying to get me as quick as possible. And she's just like, you did awesome up there. Someday I hope I have that kind of energy. And I'm just like, what's going on? Who are you? Why are you talking to me? And why are you so excited? So it was so funny because she was just so passionate.
Yeah.
We connected a few weeks later. I was like, you know what? You should come on the podcast. And she was like, what are you talking about? I need to talk to my boss. And then she's like, I don't know. So we get on and she's like, I don't know how Zach feels about this. And he's a little nervous, which is a common theme. I don't understand why, right? It was the common theme with therapy space, several other people, and then with her. And so it was funny because we were getting on a call so she could tell me all about what Isofy does. And I said, you know what? let's just do it on the podcast because it's so much more fun.
Yeah.
Finding out. It's like living in my life. I want to be as surprised as everyone else when something comes out of my mouth. And so either way, before you know it, we're having this professional conversation. Then all of a sudden she's like, I have no idea why, but she drops a turd on my lap. And I'm like, what do I do with this? I mean, you've been in an incredible year-long journey, give or take, right? Right about a year.
Yeah.
And I mean, part of what I love about what we get to do on this podcast is talk about real life, right? And things that affect us all that a lot of people don't know about. But you've been very open with your, I think you said it earlier, life struggle, right? If we want to call it that, journey. So you want to share a little bit about that?
Absolutely. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. I think that I actually have to give you credit for, I have been so open and such an advocate for speaking my truth. And I no longer lead with, I don't mean to like be too personal, or do you remember that conversation? You're like, no, you don't have to start like that. Or I don't want to share too much. A lot that has, grounded me and really humbled the heck out of me was back in November, 1 week before Thanksgiving, I was diagnosed stage 2 breast cancer. And it was just, it rocked my world, obviously.
And how old are you?
30. I was 36 at the time. I'm 37 now.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. No symptoms, like no actual symptoms. I just had like this random lump underneath like my right armpit, and I'm a hypochondriac and I'm over preparer. I'm such a type A personality. Like me asking, hey, can we prep for this call?
Yeah.
No, censored, Tasha. And Mark, I called him downstairs. Luckily, he works here. And I said, hey, I have this like weird bump and it's like underneath my armpit. And he goes to me, his exact words. He was like, I have a bad feeling inside. And he was like, you need to go to the doctor now. And he is a holistic, don't go to the doctor person at all. So for him to say that and for him to tell me, get on the car and like go, I took it so seriously and went to a city MD and just got checked out. And again, I think it's just by God's grace that he spoke to Mark, spoke to the people at City MD, a woman who has no history of breast cancer, young age, all of that. It's not typical. But they said, just to be proactive, let's just have you go for a mammo. Did my mammo and this is not to make anyone afraid, but it's awareness and be proactive and push. If you feel something inside, push, because that is your human right. It's your human right to live. And the mammographer said, I see some dense spots, so typical with your age. And at that specific moment, my great grandmother must have been speaking to me, because she said, do you have any family history? And I'm like, now I think about it, I think my great grandmother passed away of breast cancer. That turned out to not be true. And I believed it in my heart to be true. That they did the biopsy and then they found the cancer. And it was a fast track after that. It was a lot to digest. It was like, just what the heck just happened to my life? Reaching out to people. And I think that having solid people in my life, just kind of guide me through my ups and downs, and accepting it and knowing I'll defeat it was what honestly brought me, through to the light. It's like I was going through this tunnel and it was just dark. And it was so dark that I don't even think I had enough light within me to carry myself through that darkness. But I had people, Gio, you are one of them. It might get me a little emotional, but it was before I went through the route of doing a double mastectomy just to be proactive, to make sure it doesn't come back. And going through all of that, I think I will just openly and honestly say I had 2 hardcore weeks of just straight depression. It's that kind of unfortunately taboo thing that people don't like to talk about. Like, hey, I'm going through depression. Hey, I'm going through something. And I remember reaching out because like family and stuff like that, they get it, but they don't get it. And I reached out to Gio and I said, hey, I'm going through some shit. I don't know how to process all of this. And I remember vividly one night, I went to go put my AirPods in. And I think it was, I can like even go back to my message. I think it was exactly 10:45 that night that I went to go listen to something. And Gio messaged me right at that moment with something to listen to. And it just brought tears to my eyes that someone got me, understood my struggle. And at any given moment, I can pick up the phone and be like, hey, or like text you and say, hey, like I'm going through this. Like this is my struggle right now. Fast forward, did my double mastectomy end of January, prompted my whole family to go get, mammograms. My mom comes back with stage 1 breast cancer. So that was a lot to digest and a lot to go through, for the whole family, my mom, my dad, my daughter, and I'm so proud of my daughter for like stepping up and like helping out around the house, like vacuuming, doing little things because I'm OCD clean. And my family like really picked it up. And I had a hard time, especially as a mom, letting other people take care of me because we just that is our thing. It becomes our thing. It becomes part of us. And not being able to do that made me feel like I was failing and I wasn't doing enough. And I had to learn to give myself grace. And by people loving me and taking care of me, that was God's way of like putting that healing into me. My mom is doing phenomenal now. My mom is thriving. There was a moment where I thought my mom was going through her own dark times. We were going through it together. But what I realized is that you have to go through it you yourself. And to some degree, you have to pull your rise and like dig deep inside and pull yourself out of this. What is your why for a living? Do you have a why? And Gio talks about why so much that it's ingrained in my head. Everything I say, why do I want to do this? Why do I want to fight so hard? And selfishly, I said, I'm doing this for myself. I have so much more to me. I have so much to give, knowledge I can spread, that this is my why. I have so much goodness and joy to spread to people that's my why. And so, I mean, I've talked to you guys and, when I had my, expanders in and I was in pain over at GCUC, I had my moments where like everyone would check in on me. Hey, are you okay? Here, go, lay down for a little bit. We get it. And so accommodating. And even speaking to other people, they were like, hey, like my wife or my sister is going through something so similar. Or I'm like, yes, have them go get checked. Or I've been putting it off. No, go get checked. It's not to be scared. It's to be proactive. And I think that having gone through and still going through a lot of that is, it has built my character and made me learn to live more in the present. Oftentimes we worry about the past. What did we not do right? What could we have done better? What do I have to prepare for the next day? How can I make things better? How can I improve process? How can I be a better mom? No, let's just live in this moment. And I think that, we talked about it when we first joined this call. You're like, oh my God, Tasha, like you look a little different. I'm wearing my hair different and stuff like that. I am embodying my greatness, and that's, I'm proud of myself, to say the least. I am super proud of myself.
And the hardest part is we have to experience pain and suffering in order to experience joy and gratitude a lot of times, right? A lot of people have to go through that. I still remember. So the video I sent you was exactly on that. Why does God allow pain and suffering, and how to find hope amidst it? And so, I can tell you exactly where we were for all our conversations, by the way. It was in the middle of hunting season, so I was on my way back to the Julies. But either way, I mean, I think it's so interesting that how often people find their why and find their strength in helping other people, right? And you and I've never actually had this conversation that I'm about to say right now, but it was so crazy that you were struggling. And then when you found out your mom was going to go through it, you found strength and a passion and an energy for your mom to get you through it so you could be there for your mom, right? And so crazy how I experience that so often. I posted that the other day where sometimes our biggest hurdles and struggles are ultimately our purpose and our mission. Right. And so people don't realize that is sometimes we go through the things we go through so we can be strong for others. Right. Because same thing with why I'm so animate about mental health and depression, anxiety is because I know what it's like to have a panic attack. I know what it's like to wake up in the middle of the night afraid of financial situations or deals or, family situations or anything else. Right. And so it's the same thing. You wouldn't have been able to empathize with your mom the same way had you not just been through it. And I'm not saying that's why it happened, but it's often changing our perspective that changes so much.
Yeah, you are so spot on with that. So spot on. My mom seeing me go through the, I wouldn't say worser part or the more so the harder part of, the double mastectomy, the tubes and stuff like that, that she looked at me and cried and said, Tosh, I'm just going through this. And I gave her so much inspiration that you did that and you came out and look at you, you are out here just doing your thing and living life. And, was there a moment where human beings, I just stayed in my bed. I didn't want to get up. This where we're, recording from, this is my office / daughter's room. That was my favorite spot back there. And nothing in the world can get me up from there. And there was just this thing that happened, this light that happened within me that I was just like, I'm going to do it. And that's what seeing my mom see this, it was so vice versa, seeing my mom see strength in me. It was the most beautiful way I could repay her for everything she's done for me and my parents have done for me. So yeah, you are spot on with that.
And so kind of getting back on track on the professional side, because they overlap, right? And so how back to your stickiness and ability to connect with people and just passion for people. I mean, how is this? Because you took time off, right? And so you had to come back from that. And so I still remember the conversation about GCUC, right? You weren't going to go to GCUC because you're like, we're not in a financial position as a company to do it. And I reached out to Stormy and they were gracious enough. I don't know how they accommodated. They did. So kudos to them. I know Liz is always huge on helping people.
Yeah, huge. I am thankful. By the way, super thankful for them. They are rock stars.
Yeah, because I still remember seeing you there and you were thriving for the first time coming out of it. And so how is the struggles allowed for you to connect with your customers, with your, colleagues, with just people within the industry that you deal with on a daily basis?
That's honestly such a great question, because before GWA, Tasha was timid about approaching people, except for you, where I was just like, I'm a firm.
He was damn good on stage.
He was. I am such a big believer in just walking up to people and be like, you kicked ass. You did amazing. You were phenomenal. Whether it was Gio or anyone else, you killed it. I love, acknowledging that genuinely. But GWA Tasha was a little bit different, timid and stuff like that. And Juicy Tasha was more laid back and enjoying being present in the moment, walking up to people, kind of sharing my story openly. sharing my struggles with, like, you know, the anxiety, the depression, and they're just like, oh, someone else is talking about something I'm going through. Can we talk more? Like, can I get to know you more? And by getting to know me more, it was just like, oh, so who do you work for? What do you do? And that's like what opened that door, is just being my natural, authentic self. And Faye, my homegirl Faye, I posted on Instagram that, you know, February 1st, I was like, you know, cancer free. And she goes to me, keep dancing to the beat of your own drum, you know? And in this world, you kind of maybe get caught up with trying to, like, you know, be a chameleon for other people or other things, but being authentically you, like, who is Tasha? What is Tasha all about? I've learned to be more in my own skin. So now, with getting on phones with clients, with operators, I just come off the bat like, hey, this is what I have to offer. This is who you're working with. I share the plethora of knowledge that I've learned, the juicy events, the links. I mean, you guys will probably see me like visiting your profiles because I'm like grabbing your LinkedIn stuff and like putting together a whole little package. I remember there was a deal I lost, but this person will forever remember me and can't wait to shake hands with me at Juicy next year, because he said, I'm thankful for you and all of the information that you gave me and how vulnerable. And I said to them, sometimes you're not going to be able to reach me because I'm going through something right now. And I think that that's what made the relationship, whether a deal was won or a deal wasn't won, so much more meaningful and everlasting. And I think that that really more so is the goal, the why. So yeah.
Jamie, I'm giving you a chance, right?
You're giving me the eye. You know, I just keep thinking how grateful I am to be a part of a community that wants to know people personally. That Tasha met Gio, who she felt like she could ping when she was having a hard time. Like, that's, we need that. It's so important. You know, I get really anxious about this whole discussion about, you know, don't make people go to the office. You know, well, then where do our human connections come from? There's a risk there because we need, and you did it through going to a conference, you have friends and family, and you added to that, right? And now it's like, it's an outlet for you to create further connection and create further impact. And we need that. And I'm super grateful that you felt like you could say, I need help.
Yeah,
because
no, definitely.
Mental illness is so complicated, but the people who feel like they cannot say, I need help, or don't know who to say that to, you know, that's a travesty. And so I'm grateful that we operate in this environment where you could share that. Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, no. And I do have to say that I am thankful for Isofy and giving me that flexibility.
I remember you saying Zach was like, go do, you know, do what you need to do. Yeah.
Yes. He put my health, my family first, always. Like, even back, you know, in the serendipity days, you know, he was always my, you know, my advocate. And looking at, when you get a chance, and if you look at our website, we have core values in there. And those core values is so phenomenal. It didn't just come out of the blue, but it's like we all live by it. You know, humility, being relational, high standards, diving deep. And it's not just company core values, it's human core values. And I love the fact that he kind of honed in on that and made that like our standard, our, you know, it is in everything that we do. And I think that that's what really like sets us apart. And then that's like my why Isofy, because I feel like I'm in the right place and the right avenue to be my authentic, genuine self in a company that values me, my thoughts, my approach to things. And I think because of that, you know, amongst obviously the huge team that we have behind us, and, you know, all the great stuff that we're doing and building, creating, it's why we're growing. We're like on this rocket ship right now. And I'm just excited because it's just the beginning. It is just the beginning. And it is my passion, you know, working at Isofy, because I believe in it so much, because it resonates with who I am, you know, as a person, as an individual.
So here's one for you, and we're down to the last few minutes. So obviously the three of us are on the screen right now, but I want you to really focus on the picture of you and just look at the picture and tell me what you see when you look at yourself.
A fighter.
Doesn't count unless you close it.
A fighter. I see, you know, even with this light, I feel like a whole different energy, you know, around me, and just tremendously grateful and full of so much grace. And taking days for granted, it's tough, and we all like get there, but it's just that reminder, like, hey, I did this shit. You know, I kept going, and I am beyond proud.
And that's also true. I still remember being at Juicy and people were walking up being like, who's this Tasha girl? She just walked up to me and just started telling me all kinds of stuff. And so, I mean, people see that light, right? And people appreciate it. And, you know, it's making a difference. And just know that, because sometimes we don't know that, right? Sometimes we cause ripples in a pond that we don't ever get to see, right? And so I just challenge you to keep shining.
I appreciate it. That is when you told me that, you know, small but mighty, that is my line. And I also remind Mark that, just know I am small, but I am so mighty.
And I know where you sleep.
Yeah. So I mean, I appreciate, you know, you guys inviting me onto the podcast. You know, I'm repping my Flex and
totally are.
Fully decked out, and, you know, it's been a pleasure, and I can't wait to see you guys again in person. And it's just been so awesome.
We're glad to have you. We're glad that you were willing to do this and share your story. I think we had an episode, like we were on the calendar and Gia was like, hold the phone. We gotta wait and give Tasha some space. But I love how authentic you are and how open you are.
Absolutely.
Personally. And I also just went to the Isofy website. I love that the core values are right there and that they're meaningful and they're real. They come off as being like not corporate speak, right? They come off as being real. Yeah.
No, we're not. We are big advocates of going totally against that. I just want to be that. Zach has this slogan, you know, when he like sends us letters, or if someone gets a promotion, let's build something special, you know, and it's from his heart. And I have my first letter that he sent me in my first card with like my first like portside swag, and it said, let's build something special. And that's what we're doing, is building something special and something different. It's not just network management. So excited to be on. See you guys again on here one day.
Totally. Well, hopefully we'll see you in DC in September. If you need us to write Zach a letter, let us know.
I gotcha. Thank you.
Look forward to seeing you again. Thanks, Tasha.
Absolutely. Thank you guys. Bye.
Bye.